Hi, Nicholas here. Welcome to the Akousunesis method. Today we're going to look at all the default chords in the Western major scale. Okay, this is lesson number 20. Now, there's only 4 different types of chords to learn today. There's only 4. And every Western major scale, all the 12 key signatures, they all have the same set of chords, the same 4 chords. So it's not that difficult. So let's move on. So what's a chord? Well, a chord's a collection of intervals. We define a chord by its root note and character. Okay? So let's move on. Excuse me. So we're going to look at the key of C. So we're going to work out all the chords in the key of C, and then we'll be able to transpose that to other keys. Okay? And we'll do that in coming composition videos. But I'll transpose it to, say, the key of G and the key of F, just to show you how we can easily transpose it, right? And where we keep our gaze on the keys so you can make the transition easy. So let's continue. So we're in the Ionian mode. So all these chords we're about to make are all associated with the mode, right? It's the chord of that mode. The root chord of the mode. So let's have a look at the key of C. So all we do, if we saw the thirds video, we saw that a chord can be defined as stacked thirds. So between the 1 and the 3, we have a major third, right? And we know it's a major third because it's 2 tones. That would be a minor third, but we're sticking in the key of C, all the white notes. That's a fifth. A fifth doesn't offer any interesting character. It's the smoother sounding, right? The 7th is a major 7th because it's a semitone down. A minor would be a tone down from the root. So we know we can identify our 7ths from our high root notes, right? Our 5ths we identify with a 5th rule. Let's go watch the 5th rule video, right? Easily. 5th, 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 and the exceptions B and B flat. 5th up here, 5th, 5th, bang, 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 shape of the hand, right? We just slide over. So we know all our 5ths, and when we get to B flat, we do this, right? Because of that semitone, we got 2 semitones here, and we have to make that into a tone. Right? There's a semitone, semitone. All right, so watch the 5th rule video. So all we do, right, to get to the next chord, we call this a C major 7th chord, right? Because it's a major third with a major 7th. We just slide over, and we're going to just keep on sliding. So this is the chord associated with the Ionian mode. Ionian mode. Right, that's the Ionian mode. Tonality, so we can hear the mode better. All right, so let's slide over now. We're going to slide over. Now again, have a look at the 7th. It's a tone down, so we know that's a minor 7th. The 3rd now is a minor 3rd, right, because it's a tone and a half. If you watch the 3rd video, you'll see how to find all the 3rds quickly. And again, the 5th is easy because it's the 5th rule, right? So we're basically keeping this shape too of the hand, and we're not moving it. We're just sliding, right? So we call that a minor 7th chord. So we've got 2 different chords now, right? Major 7th with a major 3rd and a major 7th, a minor 7th with a minor 3rd and a minor 7th. Now we're going to slide over to the next one, which is E minor, and it has the same character as D minor. So it's a minor with a minor 3rd with a minor 7th. So we still only know 2 chord characters, right? So that's a minor. We're going to slide over now again. So this is a major 7th chord, the same as the C. So the C is a major with a major 7th. The F is a major with a major 3rd and a major 7th. See, semitone. Major 3rd, 2 tones. Right? Now we'll slide over again. Now this one's a little different because we've got a major 3rd, but now we don't have a major 7th. We've got a minor 7th. So we call this a 7th chord. And that 7 you see on G7 is actually a minor 7th. Okay? Right? So it's a 1, 3, 5, minor 7th. So now we know 3 different types of chords, just 3 chords. Now we move slide over again. A minor 7th, right, is the same as D minor 7th and E minor, the same chord character, right? Just the root note's different, right? So it's a minor 3rd, tone and a half, it's a 5th, and a minor 7th, okay? And we're going to slide over one more time. And this now is something different. It's a Locrian, because now the 5th, remember the 5th rule? When we hit B, there's an exception, that's a 5th. So this is a flat 5, right? Minus 5, right? So it's a 1, minor 3rd, minor 5th, flat 5. We call that a diminished, right? That's diminished chord, a triad there. That's called a half diminished chord. That's called a half diminished. We have a minor 7th. The reason this is called half diminished is because, and this would be a full diminished, if we flatten the 7th again, and the reason is because between 1 and 3 we've got a minor 3rd, between 3 and 5 is a minor 3rd, but have a look, between 5 and 7 now is 2 tones. That's a major 3rd. And then we've got a tone back to the B. So if we flatten the 7th to a 6th, now we have a minor 3rd, a minor 3rd, a minor 3rd, and a minor 3rd back to a root. We call that a full diminished chord. Right? And that's the difference between full diminished and half diminished. But the Western major scale doesn't have a full diminished, it's only got a half diminished chord. And that's the darkest of all the modes, and that's called the Locrian mode. And in our modes videos, we're coming up with 2 modes videos. So I'm going to show you all the modes, and we're going to listen to them. And in the next modes video, we're going to show you how we arrange those modes in an order from darkest to brightest, or brightest to darkest. And we're going to show you how by arranging them, you'll be able to come up with interesting chord progressions for your songs based on the emotional feel of what you're trying to create with your music. All right, so we're going to look at that. All right, so that's all the chords. Okay, so this is them in a table. So we can see the formula there, 1, 3, 5, 7. So we can see that. Go back. That's the same slide. That the C major 7th, the F major 7th have the same character, right? Just different root notes. The D minor 7th, E minor 7th, A minor 7th have the same character, and hence the formula is the same. 1 minus 3, 5 minus 7, 1 minus 3, 5 minus 7, and up here, D minor 7. 1 minus C, 5 minus 7. The G7, it stands on its own, and it's a major triad with a minor 7th, and the diminished is a diminished with a minor 5, with a minor 3rd, and a minor 7th, all minus there. Now we name the chords 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now in the Akousunesis method, we don't use lowercase, we don't use the little i's, because we're going to use these later on in our composition to describe songs when they come out of key, and we're going to put a character next to them, so they're going to actually have a use. And also, you need to know that the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 6th are minor 7th chords. You need to know the 1 and a 4 is a major 7th chord. You need to know that the dominant and the 5th is a 7th chord, and the Locrian is the 7th, right? The Locrian, the diminished, right, half diminished. So let's just go on to the next slide. That's the same slide. So we've only learned 4 chords today. That's it. But they're the most important chords, and they're 7th chords. And by knowing these 4 chords, right, it's very easy to make any other chord. Because if we just play these 4 chords, right, by just altering or adding, let's add, so we'll make the chord with the left hand, and just by adding other intervals on the right, you can make any chord. You can make any chord, and you can do all sorts of stuff, right? By just adding, and you've got 12 intervals to add character to the chord. So after that, we're just going to learn how to name them. But naming them isn't as important as knowing what you're doing. It's more important to know what you're doing, and the names of the chords, you'll get to understand what they are as time goes on. I've got them all in my book anyway, right? but we'll learn them as we go around. But you need to learn these, right? You need to learn major seventh, minor seventh, a seventh, and a half diminished, right? You need to learn those names and what they are and the formulas, right? And so there's not a lot here. There's not a lot to know, right? Now, how to find them very quickly. So we're pretty much finished, but before we finish, right, I'm going to give you this is a very good tip, this one now that you're at the end of the video. You made it this far, I'm going to give you a really nice bonus. When you're trying to find all the chords in all keys, and I'm just going to show you, but I'm just going to show you how to do it with the key of G, right, and the key of F, very quickly. So we know that we make that one shape and we're just sliding over, right? So we've got to try to hold that shape. Now, we're getting our memory used to where the notes are, or the chords themselves, right? Now, if we're going to go around the circle of fifths to G. Now we know G has the F sharp in it, right? Because we can work out G from the formula, tone, tone, semitone, but we only use that to work it out. Once we work it out with tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, our visual memory, we've got to learn it with our visual memory, the key, and we also got to know the order of sharps as it goes around the circle of fifths. So we know G has one sharp, and it's F sharp. So what we do now is we put our fingers on the notes, right, white notes, and we're going to focus our gaze on the key, on the note F. And whenever we see that note F, we know just to raise the finger up to the F sharp, right? So there's the Ionian. See, we shove it down, we're going to, right? Now, when we slide over, we can see that no finger is playing the F there, so we don't have to worry. We just concentrate on that F. Move over, bang. And as we go across and concentrate, we're going to say the chords too. We're going to go G major 7th, A minor 7th, right? And then we're going to go B minor 7th, right? And again, we're going to focus on that F. We're going to slide over. C major 7th, yeah, C major 7th, right? Now we're going to watch when we slide over, we've got D minor 7, D7. And one of the tricks of when we're learning chords too, we're going to know how to get from one chord to another, right? So if that's D major 7th, right, that's a major. That's D7, not a major 7th because it's got a minor 7th. That would be D major 7th. That's D7, right? But we're just focusing here. That's D minor 7th. That's D7, okay? So focus again. Now there's nothing lining up, right? So that's minor, E minor with a minor 7th, right? So E minor 7. We're almost home, right? Almost home. That's the Aeolian, right? E minor 7th. And then when we slide over, have a look here. Our thumbnail's on the F, it just moves up there. And that's how we get the diminished fifth, the Locrian, right? We're sliding that up. Because a perfect fifth's there. We can get to any diminished fifth by flattening our fifth, or we can raise the root up one, and we get that same diminished fifth interval, okay? So our fifth rule, remember the fifth rule? We make a diminished fifth by flattening the fifth. We can also make it by raising the root. That's either way, okay? That's useful because when we're coming here and we're sliding, we'll do this up there. Because of what we're doing here to get that diminished fifth, we're raising that up, raising our thumb, right? So we focus on the F, okay? And that's how we can find them. But we don't want to go too fast. We want to actually go slow, right? And G, right? And go G major 7th, A minor 7th, G major 7th, and we're going to go back and forth. We're going to do this in song composition anyway, right? So that's a nice little trick. And the same applies with F, okay? We know that F has got a flat now. We don't play this note, the note on the right, we play the note on the left, which is B flat. So we focus our gaze on the note B, and we move over, and whenever our finger hits it, we just move it up. Slide it over. Slide it over. Now we move the thumb up. Slide it over. So we practice that first. Now you see up here, we have to bring that down. So we're gazing up, we're looking up here as well. All right? Slide it over. Okay. And we've got to get to F, right? We started on F. Slide it over. Yeah. Slide it over. Back to F, Ionian. So once we get used to just doing that, we can go back and forth. Just get used to doing that. Right? So get used to playing it first. And then once you get used to playing it, then you can say it. F major 7. Right? So we know it's going to be we know it's going to be major 7th, minor 7th, minor 7th, major 7th, 7th, minor 7th, and diminished. And you remember that order as well. You remember the order. So there's certain things we have to remember, but there's not that much we have to remember. You know, like we don't have to remember all this in all the keys. All we remember is 4 chords, and we know all the chords. 4 basic chords and a few rules, then we know all the chords. We don't need chord charts. And watch the video on how to construct these chords, right? And it's got to do with knowing your intervals, because that's how we describe chords via intervals, right? And it's really not that hard, but it does take a bit of dedication and practice. But that's what this course is going to do for you. It's going to show you ways to learn these things and build it up. Anyway, that's it. So next lesson is going to be modes, part 1. We're going to go through how we hear the mode, and we're going to practice the mode and for listening, tonality. We'll do a little bit of improvisation stuff with it as well, just to hear it. And then we're going to do modes part 2. We're going to learn the sequence of the modes. We're going to put them in order from darkest to lightest, and how we're going to use those in our own compositions. And then I'm going to have a new series, the composition series. There's going to be video 1, and we're going to go through every key. We're going to start in the key of C, and we're going to create songs. And with this series, so we'll start in the key of C, and we'll just do a basic, how we basically improvise first. We improvise before we compose. Improvisation and composition are very similar. You improvise to come up with the ideas, and then you write them down, and that's the composition. So a composition is just writing down what you improvise. Then we're going to go through the circle of fifths. We're going to go to G, and we're going to have new ideas on how to compose, and we're going to introduce song skeletons. We're going to use the darkest to lightest ideas of the modes to be able to create songs with emotion, knowing when to rise, when to make it lift it up, or when to bring it down. And we'll know what chord progressions we need to adapt to use. And you'll see a lot of the common chord progressions come from this order. So once you see the order, and I'll show you how the order's derived and the meaning of how, why does it sound darker? Why does it sound lighter? So all that I'll show you in the next couple of videos with modes. All right, so some exciting videos coming, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, thanks for staying here if you're still here. Appreciate it. If you could put a thumbs up, I'd appreciate that too. That'll be nice. It just gives me some feedback that I know people are sort of getting value out of these videos. If you put the thumbs up. If you're still here and you put your thumbs up, I know you're getting value. And I'm going to assume that you're also subscribed if you stayed this long. All right. Thanks for that. Bye.